Hello party people and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be talking about every single book I read in 2025. I have tried to film this video like 4 times and it was going to be a tier ranking video and the tier ranking site will not work. I cannot get it to work. I've made multiple tier ranking videos before. Some that have not been posted just because I didn't end up editing them. But like I've used this tier ranking site so many times and it's just not working today. And I've tried like 3 different days now. So we're just gonna switch gears a little bit, do something a little bit different. We're literally just gonna talk about every single one. Instead of tier ranking them, I'll give you my rating, my review, and if I recommend them or not. A couple, like a sentence or two per each because it's gonna take 5 ever to get through this. But that's okay. I also need to be to lunch in like 50 minutes. So we're chilling. If you want to see more pages in my reading journal than the one I'm going to show you today, make sure to come back on Monday. Make sure you like, subscribe, notifications, all of the things, so that you can come back and see I'm posting a reading journal flip through on Monday. So make sure you come back for that. I'm really proud of what we've got going on so far. Also, it's so darling, so cute. Anyway, here's the page you're going to see today. My little pocket with my little dragon wing, and then my 2025 wrap-ups. This is all of my stats that I wanted to track from 2025. You can pause it to look at it if you would like to. If not, I'm just going to give you the highlights. I read 72 books in 2025. For reference, I read 48 books in 2024, so it's pretty exciting. I read 23,541 pages, and I had 10 5-star reads. The other super cool thing is I only listened to 13 audiobooks, which is only 22% of the books I read were audiobooks. So that's pretty cool. Now I'll go over my goals really quick. I did leave myself 100 boxes for books on my bookshelf. I may need to make more. We'll see what happens. My goal would be to read 2 books each week, which would be 104 books. We'll see what happens. I'm not super confident in that goal. I'd like to try to hit 100 again. We'll kind of see what happens. Just if I read 2 books every week, that would work really well for YouTube videos. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Eventually I'd like to get to reading 3 books per week, so I can have 3 books in each reading vlog, but for now it's just gonna have to be 2 because I don't have much time to read yet. My second goal is to read 60% with my eyes, at least 60% of my books with my eyes instead of listening, and I didn't realize I'd already done that, but cool. I want to finish the hardest reading challenge I ever do. We'll have posts and reading vlogs for that throughout the year, throughout my channel. 4, I want to review every book I read. Definitely should be doing that anyway. This is like why I created this channel and stuff, but I don't. I'm terrible about posting all my reviews, so that's a goal. And then to diversify my reading, I definitely want to read more people from different races, ethnicities, different genres, different countries, I want to do translated works, I want to do more indie authors, all of the things. So that goal is a little broader, but I want to diversify my reading. That's about it. Let's get into this. If I'm looking down, that's because I've got my laptop open. I am on Storygraph. I finally updated my Storygraph. So all of my rating reviews and all the things are on here. So I'll be going through to make sure that I hit every single book. That being said, let's get into it. First, the very first book that I finished in 2025 was Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I rated this one 4.5. I also read Iron Flame. I rated this 5 stars. And later in the year, I read Onyx Storm and rated it 4.75. I really enjoy the Fourth Wing series. The Empyrean series. I'm super excited for the 4th book to come out. Super love that series. Had a great time. Iron Flame is definitely my favorite. Iron Flame is like a top read of the year. Definitely. Right, then I read the Harbinger trilogy next. I actually read the Storm and Fury by Jennifer Armentrout. I finished it December 31st, 2024. So, literally, right before 2025. So, it didn't count on this year's challenge, but that being said, rated the first one 4.75, the second one 4.5, which is Rage and Ruin, and then the third, which is Grace and Glory, I rated it 4.25 stars. Again, super fun series. Had a great time reading them. I had such a great January because I literally read the Harbinger trilogy, which is a romantic series, and Fourth Ring, which is a romantic series. Had the best time. The only other book that I read in January was Cress by Marissa Myers, which is the third book in the Lunar Chronicles. I did listen to this book. I did not have the best time with this book. It was fine. I enjoyed it. I just don't remember like anything from it. Which, again, I read some bangers before I read this one. Like 6 bangers before I read this one. And so, probably just a product of its time. But, that being said, I would like to continue the series. I have enjoyed the series. I mean, I rated it 4.5 stars when I read it. When I read A Game of Love and Betrayal and A Heart of Desire and Deceit by Elena Argalia. I rated both of these 4 stars. I had a great time reading these. They're like a Love is Blind, but with fae and political uprisings, very high stakes environment. The first book was definitely more focused on like the Love is Blind aspect of it and like the couple getting together, and then the second book is more like them going through the stuff they're going through. There's gonna be like 3 duologies as far as I understand. The first 2 follow one couple, the second 2 follow the next couple, and the third 2 follow the final couple. This one's called A Christmas Stars in the Storm. I also rated this one 4 stars. Just an all around like good series. I can't wait for the next one to come out. I'm pretty sure it comes out in July. I'll definitely be reading it as soon as it comes out. They're all on Kindle Unlimited. I would highly recommend them. Next, I tried reading The Last Hunter by Jeremy Robinson. The first one's Descent. The second one's Pursuit. They're all in like one, like, I think they call it omnibus audiobook. So it's just like all 5 books put together. There also is a separate book called Antarctos Rising, which is like the 4th book. So you gotta read like the first 3 of the big audiobook, go read Antarctos Rising, and then come back and finish it. I only read the first 2. I rated them both 3.5 stars. I just didn't have a great time reading them. My husband asked me to read them with him because he really enjoyed them, and this just didn't do it for me. I am going to read the 3rd one because it happens in Antarctica, and I need that for the hardest reading challenge you ever do. Alright, next I read Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I had such a good time. I rated this one 4.25. My ratings are crazy. I really enjoyed Ninth House. It's dark academia. She can see spirits and ghosts, and so she's needed to come join this group that helps like manage magic by protecting it from the spirits. I don't really know. Super cool, super fun. I would highly recommend. I read Hellbound way later, and I enjoyed it. They're like 2 totally different books in my brain, which they are, but like, and they flow together fine. But like such crazily different things happen in both books. I had a phenomenal time. Then I read November 9th by Colleen Hoover. I rated this 2.5 stars. I low-key really disliked this book. Oh, I thought the main character was ridiculous. I thought the whole plot of it was stupid. It was basically like one big like refusing to communicate. And I also felt like they shouldn't have got together. It made me really mad that they actually got together, honestly. Then I read Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, which is the first in the Letters of Enchantment duology. I rated it 3.75 stars. I read it for a book club. I had fun. It just wasn't anything that really like stuck with me. I have not read Ruthless Vows yet. I do have Wild Reverence, and I really want to read it. So I'm going to read Ruthless Vows eventually, so that I'll read Wild Reverence, but it's not like top of my TBR list. I'm not like, oh my gosh, I have to read it. Next I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I rated it 3.5 stars. I just don't think it was for me. I enjoyed reading it. I'm glad that I read it. I would like to read more Taylor Jenkins reads, but they're, again, not on the top of my TBR. Then I read The Hawthorne Legacy and The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I literally finished these so quickly after each other. I rated them both 4 stars. Then I read Spare by Prince Harry. This one I did not rate. Because it is a memoir. I did listen to the audiobook and he narrates it, so that was a little bit more interesting. I did read it for a challenge, like a reading challenge. I didn't necessarily, like beforehand, I didn't necessarily care to know about Prince Harry's life, but I'm glad that I read it actually. Like, it was kind of good. If you want a nonfiction book for whatever reason, for a reading challenge or whatever, if you need a nonfiction or if you need a memoir, I would suggest Spare by Prince Harry and the audiobook, because it was really cool to listen to him tell you about his life. So there's that. Next I finished Heavenly Bodies by Amani Ariu. I rated this one 5 stars. I actually ended up buying this on ebook and physical, and I had the audio for it all at the same time. I actually bought the ebook, forgot I bought the ebook. Then we went to Barnes & Noble, and I bought the physical book, and then I was, like, going through my Kindle looking for a read, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have Heavenly Bodies. And so then I was reading it on both my Kindle and my physical book while I was on a trip with my in-laws, and finished it within, like, a day. I'm actually reading Fallen Stars right now. I'm, like, 60% of the way through, and I'm kind of struggling with it, to be honest. But you'll get that at the end of my January wrap-up. Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, and Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I read all this year. I read Part of Your World last year. I think I rated it like 3.5 or 4 stars. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Yours Truly, I rated 3.5. Just for the Summer, I rated 4.25. And then Say You'll Remember Me, I rated 4.5. Say You'll Remember Me was definitely my favorite of the series. Even based on, I mean, obviously you can tell that based on the ratings. Interconnected standalones. The first 3 definitely read in order. And I would suggest reading the first 3 before you read Say You Remember Me, but it didn't feel as important to read read the series before Say You'll Remember Me. Like, this first series and then this one feel kind of interchangeable. You'll probably get some spoilers if you read it before, but anyway. There's also the second book coming out. What is it called? A Night Will Remember, I think. It's coming out sometime this year. I definitely want to read it. I cried when I read this book. I read it in like a day. I definitely like understand people's like negative ratings of it. I can see that. I get it. But also, I don't know. I just had a good time. All 3 of these books were just fun romances. I read in like May and June. Like, I would recommend if you're going to read them in the summer. Have a good time. Let the vibes be vibes. Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I listened to this one. I rated it 4.25 stars. I had a really good time with this. I cannot wait for the movie to come out. I will be watching the movie as soon as it comes out. Me and my husband are going to go watch it. We listened to this one together. He just finished listening to The Martian. We watched The Martian together before. I need to read The Martian. I haven't read it yet. Anyway, but I would like to read The Martian and then reread Project Hail Mary and rewatch The Martian movie before Project Hail Mary comes out. Not that I need to, especially with The Martian, but I just want to. At the Hunger Games, I reread the whole Hunger Games series this year. I'm pretty sure I rated them all like 4.5 stars. I really enjoy them. They're not like, oh, I rated Mockingjay 5 stars. These aren't like my best books of all time, but I do really love the series. They're series I come back to every year and listen to them with my husband, and then we watch the movies together. The one that did get higher, so Mockingjay, I really liked Mockingjay, and then Sunrise on the Reaping. It was heartbreaking. I am also super excited for that movie to come out. I don't like watching movies. Oh, goodness. Like, but especially in movie theaters, I really don't care to watch a movie in a movie theater. And so, for me to be excited to go watch movies in the theater is crazy. It's such a fun experience. I will be watching that as soon as it comes out. I will be there on opening night. I do not care what else is going on. But yeah, I rated that one 5 stars. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is probably my least favorite. It was okay, but just me. I haven't finished the movie for that one yet. I cannot get through it. Next, I read The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. I rated this one 3.5 stars. I was really disappointed in this read. I gave this read everything that it needed to be the best book, to be a 5-star reading experience. I was at the beach. It was summer. I was tanning. I was in my swimsuit, laying on the beach with my umbrella, with like my music in. I had some friends around me, but they were like, doing their own thing. But anyway, out in the sun, read it in like one setting. I just didn't really care. Then I read Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. I rated this book 4.25 stars. I really enjoyed it. I have since read other Brandon Sanderson books, and I've bought a bunch of others that I'd like to get to, and I'm having the best time getting into the Cosmere, so I'm really excited for that. Sunkissed by Casey West. I rated 3.5 stars. It just didn't really hit very well. I read a ton of Casey West when I was in high school, and middle school, and I ate it up while I was in high school and middle school. As an adult, it just isn't really doing it for me. I actually lent it to my sister and she's really enjoying it, so take that with what you will. It is a clean romance, so I'd recommend it to anyone looking for a clean romance. Definitely not my favorite clean romance I read this year, but there's that. And also, like, anybody younger, I think would really enjoy this. Then I read The Two Lives of Lydia Bird by Josie Silver. I did rate this one 5 stars. I listened to it. I really enjoyed this book. It is, I said this about every book, literally. Oh my gosh. It is a discussion of grief through a lens of an unreliable narrator processing grief. And through like magical realism-esque vibes. Like, we don't know if it's magical realism, if she's hallucinating, if whatever is going on. And like this is like the first 10 pages. You find out that her fiance passed away on her birthday, and like this is her processing it. And I really enjoyed it. It was a really interesting exploration of grief. Next I read the DC Eagles hockey series. I say next as if I read them in order. I didn't, but we're going to talk about them next, all of them. First I read Desire Defense, because that was the first book. I rated it 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it. It was a fun, clean hockey romance. Leah Brunner writes really good tension in her romances, but they're still clean books. And I really enjoyed that about her and loved that series. Just something super stellar. The next one was, let's find it, Flirtation or Face Off. This one was probably my favorite. I read it 4.5 stars. This one, the couple in this really give like Wyatt and I to me. Like, I feel like the guy really feels like Wyatt and the girl really feels like me. And so it was fun to read about them. Not necessarily their story of how they fall in love or anything, but just like their personalities. So that was fun to read about. Then the next one is Betrothal or Breakaway. I don't remember much about this one. I rated it 4.25 stars. I definitely liked it better. I think my least favorite would be Secret or Shutout. I don't know. I rated Secret or Shutout 3.5 stars. That one I did like the couple in. Betrothal or Breakaway was fine. I just don't remember much about it. And then the last one that I read is the prequel, Passion or Penalty. This one, I rated it 2.75. This is how I've described it every time I've talked about it. Feels like a creative writing story prompt, or like whatever, assignment, a creative writing assignment that you needed to turn in at midnight and you finished it at 11:59. And didn't have time to like edit it fully. Like, not that it was terrible, I just like the other ones better because it like felt like they were edited. Like, this didn't even feel like enough time was put into the book. That was my problem. I accidentally saved it on here as an audiobook, but I did read it physically. Interesting. I actually spent 99 cents for that book. Not that that's a big deal. I know that's like not that much money, but I hate buying audiobooks. But I was like, oh, I want to finish out this series, and it's not available on Kindle Unlimited where the rest are, so I'm just going to buy it. It was not worth it. Do not recommend. Alright, let's go back down. Confusing myself. Racing Hearts by June Barnes is the only book I read in July, and I rated it 4.75 stars. It was such a fun read. This is a... How many times will I say that in this video? Probably 72, because that's how many books I read this year. Racing Hearts is a F1 and a show jumper, like a horse show jumper romance. They are, like, the girl is so, like, grumpy and mean. They're both grumpy. They've both been through a lot. Their romance is so cute. Their chemistry is so good. I cannot wait to read more books from this author. Next, I read The Friendship Fling by Georgia Stone. I rated it 4 stars. I think I'd rate it lower now. It was fun. It was fine. I ended up having to listen to, like, the last 25% or something because I was kind of over it by then. A fun summer romance. I would recommend you read it in summer. I didn't think the girl liked the boy at all. Until all of a sudden she's like, oh, you're not that bad. Okay, I guess I could like you. And I don't love that dynamic very much. Then I read The Most by Jessica Anthony. I rated this one 5 stars. This is considered a historical literary thriller. That's really interesting that they put thriller in there. I don't know about that. It covers like 24 hours where this mom decides she's not going to go to church. She's not helping get her kids ready, whatever. She's just going to go down to the pool. and you watch her spend like 24 hours in the pool, basically, refusing to get out. And because she doesn't like want to do anything. She doesn't want to be a wife and a mom. And it's very like 50s housewife and like misogyny, like that type stuff. And her like realizing she doesn't want to like, she doesn't want to. She's like, this isn't what I signed up for. I don't want to do this. Very interesting. And how they like, how the author reveals things to you throughout the story is so interesting and so fun. I gotta speed things up here a little bit. I'm also gonna end up filming in the dark later today. So we'll speed up a little bit. Next, I read 2 arcs. First, I read Rewilding by Lisa Gerlitz. This is a children's book, a middle grade book. It is a chapter book, so it's like middle grade. Anyway, about a girl who's watching her mom go through a divorce, and her mom's having some pretty bad depression because of the divorce, but you're seeing it through the kid's eyes, and you're seeing like how she's processing it and like what she's understanding from what her mom's going through. It was written really well and very, very insightful. I would highly recommend this book. I mean, it was only 284 pages. It's written as a kid's book. It's not that hard to read. It was a quick read, but it was a super fun, insightful read. So definitely recommend that one. And then I read Just Eloise by Sophie Birnbaum. I rated this one 3.5 stars. My biggest problem with this one is that it follows, like, there's some sexual relations between minors in it. And I didn't love reading that. That's why I gave it 3.5 stars. Because, like, that stuff wasn't for me. I don't want to read about that stuff. But how it was written and everything else that happened, the plot, like, everything else was so well developed, written so well. How Sophie Birnbaum, the author, handled consent and deciding whether to lose your virginity and all of those things was really interesting. And I feel like she handled it really well. It just wasn't something I necessarily wanted to read about, which I knew about it going in. And I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. And now I don't know. I don't want to read about it. Does that make sense? Okay. Next, I read Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I rated it 5 stars. Wes Bennett is phenomenal. I am obsessed with him. I cannot wait to get into Nothing Like the Movies. I bought it. I have it. I'm literally right there staring at it. But I just haven't got to it yet. Super great time. Everybody's talked about Lynn Painter. Everybody's heard about Lynn Painter. I've got Better Than the Movies literally right there. If you haven't read it, do. Highly recommend it. Then I read Rookie Season by Katie Bailey and Leah Brunner. So Leah Brunner is the one that wrote all of the hockey romances I talked about earlier, the DC Eagles series. And then Katie Bailey also writes clean romances. Katie Bailey and Leah Brunner write really good, clean romances that have such good tension in them. And they wrote a book together, which is called Rookie Season. It's the first book in the Hockey Boys of Loft 3B. Everyone says it gives like New Girl vibes. I've never seen New Girl, so I can't really comment on that. I don't really know. But there's like 3 boys in an apartment, and this girl's living in this apartment with them. And she's not like with any of them. Well, I guess. Anyway, that's part of it. Forced proximity, falls in love with one of them, which is like expected. It's not super a spoiler. Anyway, the next 2 books of these are coming out in 2026, and I definitely will be reading them as they come out. Like, I'm really excited to get to these ones. Okay, then I read Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. I rated it 3.5 stars. I did not care about it. I really thought the spice was dumb. I didn't like either of the characters. I just didn't like how it was written. I got it for my birthday. I'm happy that I got it for my birthday. I'm grateful for it. They were really thoughtful in giving it to me. I will not be continuing the series. I just didn't care. Call the Shots by Brie Hayden. It's the first book in the For the Arena series. I read this one as an arc. It was super good, super interesting. There are some discussions of eating disorders in it. And so if you have an eating disorder, if that triggers you or anything, make sure you check your trigger warnings to get a little bit more detailed like information about that. It was a fun hockey romance. Definitely a little like heavier than your typical hockey romance, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that it was a little heavier because it gave some more like substance to it, you know? Then I listened to Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling. I rated this 5 stars. I had a great time reading this. I reread them like every year. I actually only reread the first one this year. But we always watch the movies around October. All of the things. Super fun time. I don't know what else to say about it. Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I only read the first one this year. I need to read the next ones. I rated it 4.75 stars. I had a phenomenal time. I was stressed the whole time. I was so annoyed at the female main character, but not in like a I don't want to read about her anymore. In a I hope she goes through good character development, but I'm gonna trust the process because I loved the writing style. I loved the plot. It was a super fun book. So definitely will continue reading it. I just hope she has some good character development. All right, next I read Scepter of Fire by C.F.E. Black. This one is the third book in the Scepter and Crown series. I tried reading it like last year. I read the rest of the series last year, loved the rest of the books. I started this one, had a hard time getting into it. When I finally read this one, I still had a hard time getting into it until like the end. And then like everything happened and I felt like I needed like 500 more pages to get through all of that stuff. Like, the pacing was not very good in this last book. It kind of felt like she was like, man, kind of done with the series. Let's like wrap it up. I don't know. Anyway, I definitely want to read more by C.F.E. Black. She's coming out with Flame Theory. I tried recording this video once yesterday and I couldn't remember the title of the book. Flame Theory. It's like a dragon school and it's like How to Train Your Dragons and Six of Crows is like the vibes that she's advertised it as. So I really would love to read that one. I rated it Scepter of Fire 3.75 stars though. Alright, then I Hate You by Alexandra Moody. I also rated it 3.75 stars. I did not love the relationship. I hated how the friends treated the couple, and especially the girl. They were so mean to her. Like, I just really did not like this book. The couple ended up together fine, and I was like, okay, yeah, I guess they're fine together. I had, like, no stakes in this. So just fine. You might like it. It's like a YA romance. I just didn't care about it. Then I read One Italian Summer by Rebecca Searle. I rated it 4.75 stars. I really had a good time reading it. I can't remember. It just didn't quite have that, like, razzle dazzle, you know, of a 5-star read. But between this one and The Two Lives of Lydia Bird, I've realized that I really love a magical realism exploration of grief. So definitely recommend One Italian Summer. My sister-in-law's been asking me to read it for like 3 years, and I finally read it. Here we are. Then I read Perfection by Vincenzo Latronico. I rated it 4.5 stars. This is a translated work. It's only 115 pages. Super short if you're looking for something to push your boundaries a little bit, but also like be more of a dipping your toes in the water instead of like diving in. Acclimatize, double acclimatize. Anyway, I would definitely recommend Perfection. It's a very interesting exploration of like the digital age and how like social media and stuff like that has affected how we see success and like how we like process our lives. Super interesting. Definitely recommend. Then I read The Good Girls of Maple Lane. I rated it 4.5 stars. I do not remember anything about it at this point. It was a fun fall read. Same thing with Fall I Want by Lyra Parrish. I have not continued it's the Cozy Creek collection. There's like 8 of them by different authors. I didn't continue it, mostly because like fall was over. But I just didn't. I don't know. I don't remember anything about them. I rated Fall I Want 3 stars, so I didn't like that one as much. I just don't remember anything about those two. So potentially recommend them in the fall, but I don't remember. Then I read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie? What the heck? I'm not going to rate this one because it is nonfiction. Again, just like Spare. I did enjoy it. I did learn a lot from it, especially stuff that's going to help me as I become a BCBA. And like, just like in the workforce, I like highly would recommend you read it. I did listen to it, which made it a lot easier to listen and get into. Super fun. I skipped to that book a couple years ago and just got to it. Then I read Head First by Amelia Markley. This one is nanny, single dad. He's a tattoo artist. Romance. It is spicy. I rated it 4.25 stars. If you notice, I haven't had very many spicy books in a while. I was a little weak here. I saw it on TikTok and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to read it. It was enjoyable. But it is a debut book from this author. So that's awesome. I can't wait to see what else she writes. I don't know that I'll read any more of them though because of the spice. But I would definitely, if you're into reading spice, I would definitely recommend. We don't have very many left, but I have like 10 minutes to lunch. Okay, I'm going to start my car really fast. in my car, so we're going to try to get through a little bit more while it continues. Continuing on. Then I read Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I adored this book. I rated it 5 stars. I would highly recommend it to like anybody. It's like lesbian vampires. There are some explicit scenes in it, but I wouldn't call it spice. Like, it doesn't feel like it was written for the sake of like pleasure. That feels so weird to say, like, you. But anyway, it wasn't written for the sake of like pleasure, but there are explicit things that happen in it. So just heads up if that's not your thing. The one thing I loved about this book is it felt like you were getting just a glimpse of a continual like timeline, like the world is happening and you're just getting like a little portion from it, rather than feeling like a singular pinpoint of a story and getting like, this is the start, this is the middle, this is the end. It really felt like, let's just see what's going on. And she did a really good job of like explaining what was happening in the world without like, okay, let's stop, let me teach you all this background, then let's have stuff happen, then let's let it finish and go back. Like, it really was such a cool like glimpse into the world. Also, it follows like 3 different lesbian vampires throughout like 3 different centuries and like how their stories interact with each other. Highly, highly recommend. I know we said we had to hurry, but I had to sit with that book for a minute. Okay, then I read The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I rated it 4.5 stars. I enjoyed it. It scared me. I am not a thriller reader, generally speaking, especially like psychological thrillers like that. Not super my vibe. Definitely, I don't think I'll be continuing the series. And I also was going to go watch the movie with my in-laws, but I was too scared. So, if that's something you like, definitely recommend it, but it's not my vibe at all. Alright, then I read I listened to The Best Worst Christmas by Kate Forrester. It's an Audible original. I rated it 3 stars. It was a Christmas romance. It wasn't anything crazy. I literally don't remember anything about it. So, take that with what you will. I mean, it was only like 4 hours, so it wasn't that long. So if you want a Christmas read, especially like next Christmas as you're trying to finish up your reading goals or whatever, that could be a good one for it. Christmas Games and Candy Canes by C.P. Cabanis. This, I rated it 4 stars. It was like a rivals to lovers situation where like he didn't realize that they were rivals, but she had like this grudge against him. There's a cute dog in it. Definitely, it was fun. I would recommend it as a Christmas romance. Nothing too crazy. Same thing with A Cross Country Christmas by Courtney Walsh. I will not be reading A Cross Country Wedding because I didn't care that much about these guys. But 3.75, a fun Christmas read that I read in Christmas. A vibe. In winter, I mean. Like, it was a vibe, but I don't care to continue the series. I'd recommend it if you need a fun, chill winter romance. Then I read, we were so close. Okay, then I read In the Picture by Ellie Blackburn. I rated it 4 stars. These guys go on a trip. They're in this like competition to be these like photographers for this like company. If they win, they get like scholarships to go to this college to learn more about photography. She kind of had some sort of a history with the male main character in this, and now they're on this like trip together, and it's them like exploring life together, figuring out what's going on with each other, processing a bunch of crazy stuff that's happening in their lives. It was good. It was written well. It just felt a little slow. I think that's why I didn't love it as much. Since We've Got No Place to Go by Kate Watson. I rated it 4.75 stars. This book made me cry. It was such a good time. Granted, I finished it like at midnight, so that's probably part of it. But as far as Christmas romance reads go, if you want a really good, like, emotional, something that's gonna get you, like, really in the feels and really feel like it has some sustenance to it, read that one. Then I read Holiday Hostilities by Katie Bailey. It's the second book in the Cyclones Christmas series or duology that she has. I rated it 4.25 stars. I don't remember like anything about it. I remember that I enjoyed it, but that's about it. That's all I get for that one. Sorry, I know I'm like speeding through this and I apologize. Okay, then we've got The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. I rated it 4 stars. This is a thriller, like almost like a historical thriller. It was a fun read. I read it in like an afternoon or something like that. I definitely would recommend it. It just wasn't anything like super crazy or anything like that. It was a fun thriller read that I got through in like literally an afternoon. Then The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Bridget Knightley. It's Dearly Beloved, #1. I rated it 4 stars. I got this as part of my book club's Christmas book exchange, and I read this for a 24-hour readathon, and I ate it up. I got through it so quickly. There is spice in this book. I will probably be reading the second book, but you guys won't hear about it until like wrap-ups. Like I won't do any like lots of content about it or anything. I do have it on pre-order. It comes out in July. But it was a fun enemies to lovers, kind of like quirky and silly and goofy, but definitely something unique that I haven't read before. It was fun. Definitely recommend. Then I read Heir of Fire. The last book I read this year was Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. Oh, I didn't talk about any of the Throne of Glass series. Okay, we're going to pause there. I'm going to go to lunch. I'll come back. Hopefully it's light so I can talk about Throne of Glass and Trust of the Emerald Sea. I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. I obviously look different, and the lighting's a little bit different, but it's pretty close, I think, to being the same brightness. Oh, I did turn off the light. Anyway, it's fine. Trust of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. This is his first secret project in the Cosmere. There's also Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. I can't remember. I really want to read Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, because I rated Trust of the Emerald Sea 5 stars. That's why it's up on this shelf. These are all my favorite books. Right? Yeah, yep, these are my favorite books. I loved Trust of the Emerald Sea. It really felt like, it felt so much like a YA fairy tale retelling almost. It felt like a fairy tale. It didn't feel like a retelling. It felt like a fairy tale. But in a way that, like, as an adult, like, I mean, we've talked about YA books throughout this vlog already, or this video already, about how sometimes they feel very young. This did not feel young. It felt like it had, like, all of the life and excitement and creativity and whatever of a YA fairy tale, but with all of the depth and, like, I don't know, I had so much fun reading it. I was so intrigued. I thought it was so well written. The main character-ish in this one is also in Warbreaker and a lot of other books. Like, anyway, in the Cosmere, he's like throughout the whole Cosmere. I guess they kind of all are. It was cool to read this book. It was very interesting to see his same personality, but written, like, the narrator of this book, his personality shines through so well, but he also has a curse. And so it's so interesting how Brandon Sanderson was able to write this story and have the personality through the narration of this character that he's written, but also have this character have a curse and be able to, like, see both of those things through how he's narrating the book. So cool. Alright, the last things we're going to talk about are the Throne of Glass series. So, obviously you can see it right there. Assassin's Blade, I read it first. I rated it 4 stars. It was fun. I really had a good time reading it. Obviously 4 is a good rating. It was a good introduction to the series. It just wasn't anything, like, crazy yet. It was very unique and interesting. I feel like the thing I wanted to say about Assassin's Blade is I read it first because I was recommended to as a character-driven reader. So if you are a character-driven reader, if you need to connect to the characters in order to engage in a book, start with Assassin's Blade. We got to connect with Selena, I learned to love Selena, and then we went on her story. Whereas if you're more, not a ton of, like, plot things, plot still happens in Assassin's Blade, but it's more character-focused. If you are a more plot-driven reader, start with Throne of Glass, read Crown of Midnights, then read Assassin's Blade. And you'll have all of the plot from those 2 books to get you into the series, and then you can learn more about the character, and I think you'll have a better time. That would be my recommendation there. Do whatever you want. It's just a book, right? Like, I know people have such strong opinions on it. Do whatever you want. Reading is reading. Like, it's fine. That was weird. It's not the end of the world. That's all. Okay, then I read Throne of Glass, and I rated Throne of Glass 5 stars. I loved Throne of Glass. I was amazed by SJM's writing. I was amazed by like the intricacies of the plot. It was so cool. I'm surprised about how much we talk about the romance in Throne of Glass, and we don't talk about the magic and the world building. Because I don't see much about, like, you don't need to tell me details, but, like, it is not hyped up enough. The world building part of it is not hyped up nearly enough. Nearly enough. What else was I going to say there about Throne of Glass? Oh, yeah. I put out a reading vlog a full spoiler reading vlog where I read Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, and Crown of Midnights. That one is already out. I'm currently reading, so I read Heir of Fire, and I'm currently reading Queen of Shadows, and then those will be a full spoiler reading vlog. Then I'm going to do the tandem read of Empire Storms and Tower of Dawn together, and that will be a reading vlog. And then Kingdom of Ash will be in its own reading vlog. I am so excited. I love these books so much. Okay. And then Crown of Midnight, I rated 5 stars as well. I loved Crown of Midnight. I think Crown of Midnight's been I think Crown of Midnight is my best book of the year so far. I adored Crown of Midnight. I had the best time. Like, literally, let me show you guys. Like, can you see that? I had so much less tabs, and that means I literally could not get myself to stop to mark things even if I liked it, because I just was having the bestest time. I love how these turned out. It looks so pretty. For Heir of Fire, this is the last book we're talking about in this video. The page got stuck. I did not enjoy Heir of Fire as much. And I think the problem is that I pretty quickly, I read a couple books in between, but I pretty quickly started Heir of Fire after Crown of Midnight. After doing Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight. Picked up this book, and as we talked earlier in the video, I have a really hard time starting and finishing a series like that. And so, actually, there's still a bookmark in it. Anyway, there's not much marked in this book because I ended up listening to a lot of it, and immersive reading a lot of it, and I was kind of lazy with this book. It was interesting to me. There's fun stuff that happened. I just didn't like this book as much, and that's okay. I tried to make an excuse of well, I didn't want to go into a reading slump, or I felt like I was sliding into a reading slump. But I can just say I didn't love this book as much as the other ones. I still rated it 4 stars, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I rated it 4 stars. It's still a good book. I just liked the other ones better, and that's fine. And now I'm loving Queen of Shadows again. We're good. Everything's fine. It's fine to not like a book. I had to convince myself of that. Okay, all of that being said, that is officially every single book that I read in 2025. As a reminder, well, if you're still here, tell me how many books you read in 2025, and maybe your rating goals for 2026, if you have any. And I will see you guys on Monday to do my reading journal flip through. Just a reminder. Look how adorable. I had so much fun making my pages in this one. It's so much better than the one I did last year. Which, just growth, right? Maybe I'll show both in that video. That'd be fun. Anyway, all that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, all the things, and I will see you on Monday. Bye!